سودانا بلنا 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 تعبان من زمان يا ربنا تعالي شوف أيانا بلدنا ما مرتاح سودان مجاجة ما في علينا جعلنا ميدين بيننا ربنا بلنا 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 تعبان من زمان يا ربنا تعال شوف أيانا بلدنا ما مرتاح سودان مجاجة ما في علينا جالنا ميدين بيننا ربنا بلنا 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 تعبان من زمان يا ربنا تعال شوف أيانا بلدنا ما مرتاح سودان مجاجة ما في علينا جالنا ميدين بيننا ربنا يا شوف سودان يا قوانا بلدكم مشاكل ميتين مرتاح ميتين درجة قلبي ميتين درجة يا جاب سودان يا قوانا شكلكم بلد فيهم مشاكل قلبي ميتين درجة ميتين درجة قلبي ميتين درجة شاب سودان يا قوانا شكلكم بلد فيهم مشاكل قلبي ميتين درجة ميتين درجة قلبي ميتين درجة أنا بكيد عشانكم يا سودان شكلكم يا جماعة شكلكم يا جماعة ربنا بيساعد
مستمعي كونسنسس في كل مكان، مساء الخير، صباح الخير. اليوم نحن في برنامج جديد كما عودناكم في استديو كونسنسس في السودان. برنامجنا اليوم هو برنامج سياسي مهم جدا لازم نتكلم عنه. هي قضية بتاعت الحدود في جنوب السودان، قضية دولتنا نحن جنوب السودان، ده قضية مهمة جدا. وهنالك سبب إنه نحن جبنا القضية دي إنه نناقشه في هذا اليوم مع الأستاذ دينجديت أيوب لأهميتها، وهنالك مستجدات. ضيفنا اليوم هيكون معنا بعد شوية في الاستديو وفي كلاب هاوس. لو مشيت كلاب هاوس في صفحتي بتلقى الروم موجود. هنكون لايف في فيسبوك، هنكون لايف في كلاب هاوس. let me make sure I'm myself live in Clubhouse because I don't see anybody right there, and then we're going to continue. So نديكم فاصل تاني مع جوردون كونغ. بلدنا تعبان من زمان يا ربنا، تعالوا شوف عيانا بلدنا أمام مرتاح، جنوب السودان مجحجح، وده حقيقة. فأنا بديكم فاصل ونواصل.
Life leading in Sudan, Lord our God, from its populated our land and comfort Sudanese are finished. We because of war between us. Our children terminate among other laws. Our blood bleeding in Sudan, Lord our God, come and stop with the dead, our land not come forward, during this happening because of war between us. Our children terminate among other laws. You Sudanese, be careful, we all have problems. When will I be happy? And then be happy. When will I be happy?
اوكي مشاهدين كونسيرن سيزون اوف ساوث السودان، معلش انا بقول للاستاذ دنديت انت لو سامعني، انا حاولت ان افتح الروم في كلاب هاوس، لكن انا فقط شايف نفسي. لو بتقدروا مثلا تفتحوا الروم في كلاب هاوس، جيف ساوث السودان تشانس، بكون كويس. مستمعي كونسيرن سيزون اوف ساوث السودان، طبعا نحن اليوم الاثنين، وقبل ما نبدأ برنامجنا نحن متأسفين شديد للكارثة حصلت في مدينة أول. دي كارثة نحن بنسميها، عشان كده لازم نبدأ برنامجنا به. فالقتل والطريقة الوحشية تم بها قتل البنت الصغيرة أبو ملوال، ده كان وحشي جدا. عشان كده نحن ساوث سودانيس كلنا وقفنا سوا وقلنا العدالة لازم ياخذ مجراها. فدي حادثة شنيعة ونحن نستنكره بكل قوة، ولازم العدالة ياخذ مجراها. ده الحاجة أنا حبيت إنه نحن نبدأ به ونواصل برنامجنا. طبعا برنامج الحدود كما تعلمون الإخوة والأخوات، جنوب السودان منذ أن نالت استغلالها أو انفصالها من السودان ظل بلا ترسيم حدود. عشان كده الناس ما جايبه خبر، وهنالك الدول جوار توقلت دخلت في أراضينا بتاع جنوب السودان والناس ما جايبه خبر، ولأنه الناس مشغولة بحاجات تانية. لكن دي حاجات مهمة الناس لازم تقيف عندها. قضية بتاعت الحدود هي قضية بتاع أمن قومي في المقام الأول، لأن الأمن القومي هي حماية الدولة من أي تهديد خارجي أو داخلي، تحديدا في منطقة الجنوبية. حدودنا مع يوغندا فيها مشكلة كبير. الآن الميناء تم تشييدها على حدود جنوب السودان مع يوغندا. الميناء اليوغندي تم تشييدها في أراضي جنوب السودانية. أيضا عندنا مشكلة بتاعت حدود مع دولة كينيا في الحدود في المناطق الجنوبية. عندنا مشكلة حدود مع الشمال، دولة بلا حدود حتى الآن. فنحن جبنا التوبيك ده، جبنا الموضوع ده لأنه هنالك توقل بتاع دول جوار في أراضينا، وبعد شوية يعني هنيجي بالتفصيل. خلينا نقرأ جزء بسيط من كلام كتبه يعني الصحفي الأستاذ دينجي دايو، بسيط كإنترودكشن. ترسيم الحدود تجري هذه الأيام على قدم وساق بين حكومتي البلدين جنوب السودان ودولة أوغندا، الترتيبات الخاصة بعملية ترسيم الحدود بين الدولتين الشقيقتين. هنالك ترسيم حدود الآن بين الدولتين الشقيقتين، وتعتبر مسألة الحدود بين الجنوب السودان وأوغندا مسألة حديثة يعود تاريخها إلى فترة مع بعد توقيع اتفاق السلام الشامل بين الحركة الشعبية وحكومة السودان وفق المصادر التي اطلع الكاتب عليها. وتؤكد تلك الوثائق غير الرسمية إلى بروز نزاع بين جنوب السودان وأوغندا بشأن حدود عام 2005 بعد اندلاع أعمال العنف بين مواطني جنوب السودان الذين يقطنون مقاطع كجي داخل أراضيهم ومواطني دولة أوغندا الذين يقطنون محافظة مويو الأوغندية. ولم تذكر الوثائق أي إحصاءات عن أعداد الذين قتلوا في تلك النزاعات التي كانت آخرها في أواخر عام 2014. يعني هنالك حرب كر بين المواطنين في المناطق الحدودية مع الدول المجاورة، لأن الدول المجاورة دي دائما بتخش في الحدود بتاعت دولة جنوب السودان بتكرار. وأنا كنت في زيارة بتاعت توريد في 2009 وكان هنالك حادثة في شركة كينية كانت بتنقب عن الذهب في أراضي جنوب السودان، والمواطنون تهجموا على العمال الشغالين في المناجم دي وقتلوا منهم عدد 3 ولا 4 لأنه دي أراضيهم. والجديد بالذكر أدت تلك النزاعات المتكررة إلى تجميد خطط تنموية مثل خط إنشاء طريق الرابط بين جنوب السودان وأوغندا عبر تلك المناطق. هنالك طبعا طريق غاري المفروض يكون في إيست أفريقيا، يعني بيشمل جنوب السودان يوغندا كينيا والدول بتاعت الإيست أفريقيا، لكن المواطنين اعترضوا الطريق ده مرات لأنه يعني ما قبلانين بالسياسات بتاعت الدول الجوار، وده من حقهم طبعا. ويشمل النزاع الحدودي مناطق أخرى مثل نملي في ولاية شرق الاستوائية وكايا في الاستوائية الوسطى، وهي مناطق جنوب سودانية دون أدنى نقاش أو جدل. وكانت منطقة أتياك الواقع جنوب مدينة نملي على بعد حوالي 19 كيلو متر هي النقطة الجمركية الأوغندية حتى عام 2010، لكن الأمر تغيرت بعد زحف الأوغندي إلى عمق أراضينا حتى إلى أطراف نملي. ده الكلام أنا قلته قبل شوية إنه ميناء الحدودي بين جنوب السودان ودولة يوغندا تم تشييدها على أراضي جنوبية سودانية. فلهذا الأهمية نحن الليلة يعني حنناقش القضية دي بالتفاصيل مع الأستاذ دنجي دايوك، وهو طبعا صحفي معروف وسياسي ومتابع القضية بتاعت الحدود. ودي قضية مهمة جدا لأنه دي أراضينا، ونحن زي ما صوتنا وأصبحنا الدولة وقلنا نحن أبناء جنوب السودان لازم نقرر مصيرنا، فالبلد دي لازم نحافظ عليها، نحافظ على أراضيها، نحافظ على وحدتها، نحافظ على أمنها القومي. إذن قضية الحدود واحدة من القضايا بتاعت الأمن القومي، وبهمنا نحن كمواطنين جنوبيين سودانيين في المقام الأول. عشان كده أدينا الزمن نناقش هذه القضية عشان الجارة الدول المجاورة لنا تعرف إنه نحن أبناء جنوب السودان حريصين على حقنا ولم نفرط في شبر من أراضي بتاع جنوب السودان. أستاذ دنجي دايوك، أنا كنت بقرأ في المقال حقتك اللي أنت كتبته عن قضية بتاعت الحدود، وأنا بديك الفرصة تحيي المشاهدين في استوديو كونسيرن سيتيزن اوف ساوث السودان ونواصل برنامجنا. تفضل أستاذ.
السلام عليكم استاذ عبد الله قرني، هل بتسمعني؟
يا سامعنا وعليكم السلام.
هلو.
اي سامعك.
انا صوتك بيجيني متقطع.
لا انت كويس سامعنا.
صوتك بيجيني متقطع، انا ما قاعد اسمعك بالضبط، وانا ما متاكد اذا كنت مسموع.
اوكي استاذ جنجد، معلش استاذ جنجد، نحن نحاول تاني نعمل لاجن في كلاب هاوس، بيكوز استاذ جنجد عنده مشكله ما حنقدر نسمعه. فدقيقه بس خليني انا افتح روم في كلاب هاوس، بعد ذاك نحن نواصل.
استاذ عبد الله،
يس سامعني كده؟ هلو. اوكي لو ما سامعني دقيقه. اوكي استاذ جنجد، دقيقه بس نحن انت حتكون معنا في كلاب هاوس 1 minute. الشبكه تعبان مع استاذ جنجد في محل الاقامه.
أنهم يا سودان شد إلكم يا جماعة، شد إلكم يا جماعة، ربنا بيساعد.
أستاذ جنكو، أنت فاتح غرفة مقفول ولا بالضبط؟ ليه أنا ما جهزته؟ Yeah, because أنت المفروض هنا تمشي في South Sudan chance. No, this have no recording. Let me go open the other one, please.
Okay, let's go there again. Okay.
أنا بكيد
Sorry guys.
يا سودان شد إلكم يا جماعة، شد إلكم يا جماعة، ربنا بيساعد. Our life leading in Sudan, Lord our God, from its populated, our land not comfort. Sudanese are finished because of war between us. Our children terminated among of other laws. life leading in Sudan, Lord our God, come stop the dead, our land not comfort. Sudan days are finished because of war between our children terminated among the
Sorry, Musame, Consensus of South Sudan. Now we are live in Facebook and Clubhouse. Dengdit, can you go to Clubhouse? We are waiting for you there. In page, give South Sudan a chance.
Hello.
Hello, Dengdit.
سلامات يا جماعة، معليش أنا واجهت مشاكل كثيرة جدا إنه أخش في الاستوديو لايف، فحاولت بجاي إن شاء الله صوتي مسموع كويس.
Okay. أنت في Clubhouse, right?
Yes. أنا في Clubhouse، إن شاء الله أنا مسموع كويس بس.
يا أنت مسموع صوتك واضح جدا، صوتك واضح جدا.
خلاص أنا بعد كده أستغر هنا وأواصل من هنا.
اوكي. شكرا جزيلا استاذ دنجيت. انا بعتذر لمستمعي كونسنسس اوف ساوث السودان لانه استاذ دنجيت ما قدر يجينا في الاستوديو مباشر في الفيسبوك، فنحن انتقلنا به الى كلاب هاوس، والان هو موجود معنا بصوت. اهلا وسهلا بك استاذ دنجيت ايوك في استوديو كونسنسس اوف ساوث السودان. ونحن الليله طبعا بناخذ قضيه مهمه جدا، هي قضيه بتاعت الحدود، ترسيم الحدود بتاع جنوب السودان. وجنوب السودان
شكرا لك.
سامعني؟
هلو. يا أنا سامعك، كمل حديثك عشان أنا أخش على طول.
نعم، أنا قلت إنه منذ 2011 جنوب السودان أصبح دولة، لكن للأسف الشديد ما عندنا حدود بتاعت الدولة المتعارف عليها، يعني حدود مرسومة. ما لم يتم ترسيم حدود بتاع جنوب السودان. ونحن الليله بنناقش هذه القضيه لانه قضيه مهمه، فانا بديك الفرصه تهيئ مستمعي ومشاهدي برنامج كونسنسس اوف ساوث السودان and you are welcome.
شكرا لك استاذ عبد الله قرن. ان شاء الله صوتي مسموع كويس لانه التليفون بديني اشاره بانه في بور سيجنال. ان شاء الله صوت مسموع كويس، يعني اكدوا لي عشان اواصل على اطمئنان انه انا مسموع كويس.
انت مسموع كويس، صوتك مسموع تمام 100%.
طيب شكرا جزيلا على تاكيد سماع الصوت، وبعتذر للمشاهدين في الفيسبوك لايف عندك هناك وفي اليوتيوب، وبعتذر برضو للاخوه دوين والاخ جونكور والاخوه اللي انضموا لنا في الغرفه لانهم بجد انتظروا كثير طوال الفتره اللي فاتت. بس اللي يعني بقى في مشكله بتاعت ضعف الشبكه عندي، فبالتالي في صعوبه انه انا قبل اتواصل، لكن الان هنواصل حديثنا بطريقه انه الناس كل يقدر يسمعونا. كلامنا حيكون بانجليزي كثير، وان طلبت او في بعض الحتات هنتكلم شويه بالعربي، فوي ويل ميكس، هنلخبط اللغتين ديل كده ونمشي قدام. الموضوع اللي احنا بنتكلم فوقه الليله ده موضوع مهم جدا. نحن بنتكلم عن قضيه بتاعت الارض، والقضيه بتاعت الارض اللي احنا بنتكلم عنه ده قضيه بتاعت الارض بشكل كبير. احنا كالسودانيين جنوبيين طبعا عندنا قضايا بتاعت الارض الداخليه كثيره جدا، وكثير من المنابر بتناقش القضايا دي هنا في الكلاب هاوس وعلى الفيسبوك لايف، والقضايا دي كثيره جدا. كويس؟ فدي يعني قضايا داخليه. والليله عايزين نتكلم عن نفس القضيه بتاعت الارض، لكن بشكل اوسع. بنتكلم عن الارض بتاعت الوطن ككل. كويس؟ عن انه يعني في مناطق تابعه لسياده السودان الجنوبي احتلتها الدول المجاوره، ودي القضيه الاساسيه اللي نحن جايين نتكلم عنه الليله. نتمنى انه الحديث بتاع الليله يكون بارت 1 ونجي بارت 2 في الفتره من الفترات الجايه ان شاء الله. So, dear viewers of concerned citizens of South Sudan and listeners on Clubhouse, all the comrades and friends, distinguished ladies and gentlemen who are following the show on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and in the Clubhouse room. I would like to seize this juncture to salute all of you wherever you
Also then it has a poor internet.
Urgent matters of the time. Secondly, we express our solidarity and sympathy to the family of a 5-year-old girl, Abu Glwal, who became a victim of rape and killing in a will town in the hands of some individuals who lack merits, values, and a heart of a father toward that little girl. Ustaz Abdullah, في echo في الكلام. There is an echo.
Okay, I mute.
I don't know what is the problem.
I mute myself. Go ahead.
واصل أستاذ بندي. واصل.
Express our solidarity and sympathy to the family of a 5-year-old girl, Abu Glwal, who became a victim of rape and killing in a will town in the hand of some individuals who lack 3 things. They lack merits, they lack values, and they lack a heart of a father toward that little angel. And we hereby add our voice to that one of the public in calling and demanding for urgent justice for our little daughter. The perpetrators must be convicted in accordance with the laws of South Sudan in a specialized civil code of law. And the full wrath and power of law must mercilessly descend on the perpetrators and hit them to death. Our hearts are saddened and we are not happy. The good ones and the ancestors. We also stand up in solidarity with our people in the 3 states of Equatoria, where innocent citizens are killed by the government troops and various rebel forces that are active in the region, where the village within the region, and where cattle herders are being used as another deadly weapon, with the example of the recent events that took place in places like Aru Junction, Kubi, Magui, Abaro, Panyukwara, and other areas. The government of the Republic of South Sudan and various rebel groups which are active in the region are responsible for these atrocities and human rights violations. They must be made accountable for their atrocious acts, no matter how long it may take. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that justice will be administered in the long run. Thirdly, we express our solidarity to the families whose sons and daughters were recently slain in the painful events which happened in Lair County of Unity State and in the areas of Malwal Gaus, Joko, Nasser, and Maban County in Upper Nile State. We are waiting for the findings of the investigation committee which was formed to make investigation into those sets and tragic events, despite the fact that the findings of the investigation shall not hold waters, as we all know. Based on our knowledge of the previous investigation committees which were formed by the president to investigate numerous events, but to no avail until this day. Last but not least, we would like to express our unwavering solidarity with Honorable Quel Agwer Quel, former governor of Northern Bahr Ghazal State, who is an outstanding intellectual, academician, and a member of the People's Coalition for Civil Action, PCCA, who was arrested in early August 2021, on Monday, August 2nd, 2021 to be exact, and was thrown into the dark dungeons of this brutal and oppressive regime in Juba. As we speak here, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Quel Agwer Quel is still under the unlawful arbitrary arrest in Juba. The regime did not present his case to any specialized court of law, and they do not want to present his case to the specialized court of law so that he can be tried as they claim. In our view, this is lack of fairness. It is in fact injustice and oppression, and we condemn it in the strongest terms possible. We hereby renew our call and our demand for his immediate release without further delay. And we would like to say that any further delay is a violation of his human rights. Lastly, I want to tell you that we are apprehensive because
أستاذ دينجد صوتك اتقطع.
Yes, in our country is a complete political deadlock, as eloquently described in the final report of the National Dialogue in November 2020. We are very much apprehensive because the status quo in our country affirms that the future that is awaiting our children, our grandsons, and our granddaughters is a bleak one if the current SPLM NCP elites continue to run the affairs of our country. And based on this reality, ladies and gentlemen in the room, the United Citizens for Change and all the South Sudanese opposition must unite and work hard to save the country and bring about a drastic political change that will usher in a new political dispensation that shall be responsible in terms of national responsibility towards the citizens of South Sudan in delivering them basic services which are badly needed. And we would like here to applaud our brothers, all the South Sudanese who gathered the day before yesterday in Washington, D.C. To protest and present a petition to the United States of America in order to look into the current situation in the country and help South Sudanese make change in their country. We salute all those comrades and we appreciate them for the job well done. So, change must come to South Sudan so that we have a new political dispensation that will deliver the basic services to our people which are badly needed, as I have just said. A new political dispensation that will keep the territorial integrity of South Sudan. A new political administration that will turn South Sudan into an economic and industrial zone so that we can manufacture things using modern technology developed and that is engaged in manufacturing and our program are for us to make this dream and program possible. We must rise above tribal differences, ethnic divides and relegation. We must rise above political agitations, tribal bigotry, and inciting hate and promoting hate speech toward a single tribe or a community of our communities. We must also stop the madness of political extremism, hostile political propaganda, antagonism, the use of derogative terms and vulgar language and invalid accusation, such as looking at others and depicting them as unpatriotic or traitors. Because in the end of the day, we are all nationalists and we are all patriots in our own different ways, behaviors, and the views we hold, and the same views we express publicly. I hope I am heard, Comrade Awien and Comrade Abdallah.
You are very clear, Ustad Dengit. Go ahead.
Hello, I want to make sure that I am heard. Thank you. I will now continue. I was saying that in the end of the day, we are all nationalists and we are all patriots in our own different ways, our different behaviors and the views, different political views that we hold and we express publicly. So we are all nationalists. No one is hired by someone, and no one is an agent working for someone or to somebody. No one is a nationalist based on the criterion of someone else. Narrow thinking and narrow judgment does not work in national matters. We are all born, ladies and gentlemen, as a generation of South Sudanese who can work for the welfare of our country, and we have equal rights as citizens of South Sudan. No one is superior and no one is inferior. No one has a right to determine the destiny of others. We are all equally masters of our own destiny. No one has a right to describe somebody as a traitor or as unpatriotic just because he or she politically differ with him or with her. We must respect democracy, freedom of expressions, and political pluralism, not only in terms of existence of different political parties, not only in terms of existence of different political parties, but also in terms of different views, different opinions, different political parties.
الو صديقي سامعنا؟
هاي بكون النتورك حقه هنا انقطع، بس هو هيرجع، مو مشكلة. أستاذ دينجي لو موجود واصل.
Those who have set themselves up as judges. Hello?
يا
هاي صوتك قاعد يقطع لكن واصل.
يا معلش صوتك قطع، بس انت لو if you just repeat it again a little bit back because we missed what you said. Thank you.
Yes, I was saying that no one have a right to describe somebody else as a traitor because that person has political differences or politically differ with him or with her. And we must respect democracy. We must respect freedom of expressions and political pluralism, not only in terms of existence of different political parties, but also in terms of different political views, different political opinions, different political beliefs, and different political attitudes. We must understand that none of us is actually in charge of issuing and distributing certificates of patriotism or nationalism to others in South Sudan. And so I concluded this point by saying that judging others without concrete evidence is dangerous, and it reflects bad image about us who have set themselves up as judges to judge others. Nevertheless, there are national commonalities that we don't differ in values that are guiding principles for all of us. This is something we need to understand in our political differences. We are apprehensive, as I was saying earlier, because the current situation in our country is a complete disunity and fragility. So in a nutshell, I am saying that our waters are dirty. And you all know that the dirtiness of waters always creates a favorable environment for the act that is usually referred to as fishing in dirty waters. And so our waters as South Sudanese have become dirty since 2013 until now. And as a result, there is lack of internal cohesion. This has caused a situation of internal fragility, which paved the way in front of fishers who fish in dirty waters. We are here today to talk about South Sudan territories encroached upon by our sisterly neighboring countries. But before I talk about this topic, I would like to give you the outlines of my discussion or our discussion for today. The first point, I will touch on the importance of land in our lives. Then I will have a little to say about geographical and political boundaries between nations. Next, I will delve into the territorial integrity of South Sudan according to our constitution. And I will finally give you the conclusion of the whole subject matter in form of solution to the problem. Because the issue of boundaries between us and the neighboring countries is a problem. And so we are here to discuss it and talk about the solution. So, as I go deep now into the topic, the first thing I must say about the land is that land is very, very, very important. Not only for us as South Sudanese, but for the entire human family. I am now talking about point number one, that is the importance of land in our lives. Land has many names. One of these names is the word I am using now, the word land. The word land here, it is used in a speaking, could refer to number one, number two, a plot of land, or number three, a plantation, or number four, a big territory, or number five, a region. Like the story of land of Canaan that was given to Israel according to the records, which was and still is a controversial political issue in the Middle East till now. In Israel and also in Palestine, to be more specific. I would be mixing politics here as I speak with geography, with history, with sociology, and with politics. So land or territory or region is one of the components of the state, because it is the place where governments worldwide exercise power, authority, and sovereignty. Your land is the territory of your power. This is in terms of politics. So your land is the territory of your power. It is the territory of your sovereignty. It is the territory of your political jurisdiction. The international laws and conventions guarantees this right to every country. So land contains a lot of things. It contains a lot of things such as lakes or lagoons or rivers, oases, valleys, mountains, plateaus, bushes, savannas, forests or jungles. In lakes, rivers, and seas, you have a variety of fish, and you have other water creatures that stay in waters. And in the bushes or jungle, you have different animal species, types, as individuals, human person, family, society, community, villages, towns, provinces, regions, and countries and government. Land is very important because we settle and we live on the land. We produce food on the land by planting crops and establishing agricultural schemes or agricultural plantations. We build towns, we build villages, and we build cities. Great cities are built on the land, not in the sky. And no one lives in the air or in the sky. People rise up above the gravitational force of the earth and fly as high as 27,000 feet above the sea level beyond the clouds. But when planes take, that one happened when planes take off in different airports around the world. Yet, there comes a time for the plane to touch down. I want you here to notice that the phrase touchdown, which I have just used, has got a very strong link and a connection with the word land. You see, people don't live in the air or in the sky. They go into the air to cover a very long distance in a short time, but they definitely return to the land until they touch down, because land is the natural habitat of the human race. In our lives, We were born and our eyes opened in a certain land. We grew up with features of a given landscapes engraved on the walls of our brains, and they remain in our memories during our childhood. We grow up playing in the shades under certain trees, or swimming or fishing in a certain river, or rearing goats and cows in certain thick woods, or in an open space that is called torch, or with a different name according to the languages we grew up speaking. The cultural with development of science, particularly astronomy, and with the existence of growing human ambitions to explore the space, astronauts are sent into the space to other planets to spend 1, 2, or 3 months exploring what is in the space. Yet there comes a time when they return and come back to the planet Earth. You can also notice here that I have just used the word Earth because the planet Earth is the natural homeland of mankind. So to conclude this point on the importance of land, I would love to say that we saw and we heard as little children or as adults at some stages of our adulthood that our grandfathers, our grandmothers died and were buried in this land. You must notice that I am using the phrase this land, and I mean by it here a specific land that is our homeland as South Sudanese people. We also know that we shall also die and we shall be buried in this same land our ancestors were buried in. We grew up in this land and we learned a lot of things, including love for its people, loving its natural landscape, loving its lakes and rivers, mountains, hills, woods, or jungle, and cherishing all the memories we had here in different parts of it since childhood until now. Those who were born, grew up in South Sudan, and later on went abroad and are now in the neighboring countries. I mean, they are now in the countries that we call diaspora or diaspora. They have gone there with the memories of this land in their minds. And as they are there, their hearts are back home in South Sudan. The young ones, born and raised in diaspora, also know that they have a land and a country called South Sudan. They have heard this from their parents. Through this short elaboration, we can see that land is very important, and it has numerous names, which I have just used. This name, number one is land, and you know that land is the opposite of the sky. Number two is earth.
فقدنا الأستاذ دنجيد عنده مشكلة بتاعت الشبكة، وهو حيرجع الآن، حنسمع صوته ويتواصل.
In its entirety. Hello?
Yeah, Dengdi, welcome back. صوتك قطع لكن now we're hearing you good. So go ahead and continue.
All right, thank you. I was saying that the land where we live in has a lot of names, and I mentioned some noun. I said the noun land itself is very limited because it refers to either a piece of land or a very big territory or a region. But the nouns like earth, world, or globe are comprehensive in their meaning because they describe the material world in its entirety. The noun globe is the latest noun. Organization is framed to describe the world within the framework of policies and the strategies of what is called globalization today, which include economy and business, culture, telecommunication, transport, etc. Land or earth is the home of human beings. And I said this several times because the Garden of Eden, and meaning mother of all living things, and the Garden of Eden was the first home of man here on earth, according to the Holy Bible. Those who are Christian and read the Holy Bible are familiar with this story. So after God created Adam, or the first two human beings, God blessed them and commanded them to be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, and subdue the earth. To subdue means to control. God also gave them dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living creature that moves on the face of the earth. Those who read the Bible can find this in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 28. So up to this point, we can see here that God gave two things to human beings in relation to land. I'm talking about land in relation to the power that was given to man by God, because God gave land to human being as his home. And at the same time, God gave power to man to exercise that power over the land. So land is our home, and it is where we exercise our power or our authority as human beings. So God gave two things to man. The first thing he gave to the man is the earth or the land as their home, which they must fill. This means that life of human beings is very much connected to land. The second thing that God gave to man is power and authority over the land or over the earth, the whole world, and everything that all the living things that moves on it, such as animals or birds. As their home, and on the land, human beings exercise their power, they exercise their authority and sovereignty or political jurisdiction. And today in the world, we have many nations, and every nation has the limit of where they exercise their power and authority. And so this will automatically lead me now to talk about the geographical and political boundaries between nations. So when God gave the world to human beings at the beginning, there were no geographical or political borders or frontiers in the early days of prehistory. The command of God to human being was to multiply and fill the earth and subdue it or control it. And that's why human being is still controlling the world from that time until now. And when the earth was fully occupied and filled, by the human race according to the will of God the Almighty, and with development of science, particularly geography, there appeared what we call today geographical.
Hello, Sir Dengit.
أستاذ دنجد واصل، صوتك اتقطع.
يا صوت قطع. الظاهر عليه عنده عنده ضوء في الشبكة. الظاهر عليه عنده ضوء في الشبكة.
يعني.
Another, there was a boundary recognized. Hello?
يا صوتك كان انقطع كده لدقيقة وكده.
Hello? That over time human beings have organized themselves. Hello?
صوتك منقطع. حسب ظاهر صلح شوية.
Okay, go ahead. Now it's better.
واصل أستاذ دنجد.
Yes, I hope my voice is stable now.
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, they have organized themselves in the political interests which I have just mentioned. And there were boundaries between one kingdom and another, and between an empire and another, between a state and another. There was a boundary recognized by the other based on what is called mutual respect or agreement, or an agreement between one state or republic and another state. And this one continued throughout history until today's world, or our world today. And so there is a recognized boundary between states or between nations all over the world. And those boundaries have maps, and that's why we see a lot of maps. Of world today, even the whole world, the world and movement of mankind about boundaries. Countries have annexed territories which belong to other countries. Some very powerful countries have annexed other countries and made them part of their jurisdiction. You will all remember that in 1991, Saddam Hussein, the late Iraqi president, invaded Kuwait and annexed it to Iraq till he was forced out from Kuwait by the Americans. This is one example that I can give, and this is still happening. But before I do that, I would like to quote our constitution so that we know the territory, our territory as South Sudanese, the territory of our authority, sovereignty, and political jurisdiction. And so I will quote the constitution of South Sudan 2011 as amended in 2015, Article 1, Sub-Article 1, with A, B, and then 3. And I will read immediately now. It says, Article 1 is undertitled, The Republic of South Sudan and its Territory. It says, South Sudan is a sovereign and independent republic, and it shall be known as the Republic of South Sudan. This is Article 1. Sub-Article 1A, it says, all lands and airspace that constituted the three former southern provinces of Bahr al-Ghazal, Equatoria, and Upper Nile in their boundaries as they stood on January 1, 1956, and the Abyei area, the territory of the 9 Ngok Dinka chiefdoms, transferred from Bahr al-Ghazal province to Kordofan province in 1905, as defined by the Abyei Arbitration Tribunal Award of July 22, 2009, in the event that the resolution of the final status of Abyei area results in the area becoming part of the Republic of South Sudan. The Republic of South Sudan is bordered by Sudan in the north, Ethiopia in the east, Kenya and Uganda this is the definition of
معلش أستاذ دنجيت.
South Sudan is also defined in this article as the country that is bordered by these countries. You have Sudan in the north, Ethiopia in the east, Uganda and Kenya in the south, and then you have the Democratic Republic of Congo in southwest and the Central African Republic in the west. So this is land. This is the land that we call South Sudan, described in this constitutional article. Now, we must acknowledge that there have been what we call substantial encroachments into the territorial integrity of South Sudan during the war that was triggered by power struggle between the SPLM leaders, which finally erupted in December 2013 and developed into a full-scale civil war. It must be noticed that during the 21 years of civil war in the former United Sudan, none of these neighboring countries could attempt to encroach into areas within the territory of Sudan or South Sudan under the SPLA. Now, the question is why there is encroachment over our territories by the neighboring countries, and why this country did not attempt to encroach into our areas during the time of war. What was the reason they didn't do this during that time? The reason is obvious, in my opinion. South Sudan was a war zone. In fact, it was a hot potato that none could swallow. But after our independence and the irresponsible behavior of our political leaders, when they plunged our nation republic into the furnace of civil war in 2013, it was a suitable time for those who couldn't attempt it during the time of war to encroach upon our territories and areas to finally do that. So what are the areas that are encroached upon by the Sudan before we go to the other countries? First, the following areas have been encroached upon, occupied, and claimed by the government of the Republic of the Sudan in our northern borders. One of these areas is Abyei. I put Abyei as number 1. Abyei area is number 1. And so Abyei is partially occupied by Sudan, especially in the northern part until Abyei town itself. And we all know that it was overrun by the Sudan Armed Forces after the signing of the CPA. That was in 2008 during the administration of Edward Lino Abyei, and again in 2011 during the time of Kwal Moindluak. So Abyei is one of the areas that is encroached upon by the Republic of Sudan in our northern border. Put this down as number one. Number two is Pantau. Pantau, it is called Pantau in the native language of the people who live there.
Sorry for network. We have really bad connection with our speaker. Dengidayo.
أستاذ دينجي.
Hello.
آخر كلمة سمعنا منك بانتو بالnative language.
Yeah, let me continue. Thank you for letting me know. I hope I am heard now.
Yes.
We're hearing you.
Yeah, I was saying that Pantau is one of the areas that is occupied by Sudan as we speak now. I put it down in your list as number 2. This land is the land of Ruweng. It was part of Unity State and it is currently part of Ruweng administrative area. We went to war with Sudan because of Pantau in April 2012. And the SPLA defeated the Sudan Armed Forces in the war of Pantau. I remember some soldiers who fought in the battle of Pantau. I remember those of Gadwell, Ateb Gadluak, Isaac Mamour Mete, and Lobsha on the Republic. Awiyan Abdallah, I hope I am clear.
أي صوتك كده شوية قاعد يتقطع لكن هسه الظاهر بقى كويس.
Okay. I mentioned some soldiers that fought in the war of Pantau, and I said that after the war of Pantau, Sudan lobbied the international community to exercise pressure on the government of the Republic of South Sudan to withdraw the SPLA troops from Pantau. And despite the success of the Sudanese government, politically and diplomatically, in winning the international community to her side, in this case, President Salva Kiir announced in a speech he delivered in the National Legislative Assembly in Juba at that time, that he had rejected the demand by the UN Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, at that time, to withdraw his forces from Pantau as part of the UN mandate to maintain world peace and security. And so President Kiir told the national lawmakers in the assembly that the SPLA troops were not going to evacuate or abandon Pantau after they militarily defeated the Sudan Armed Forces. And the national lawmakers stood up in the assembly hall and applauded the declaration that was made by the president, by President Salva Kiir, for 7 minutes. The SPLA victory in Pantau against the Sudan Armed Forces was supported by the people of South Sudan, and a number of contributions in terms of money collected were made internally and externally in support of the SPLA forces when they defeated the Sudan armed forces in Pantau. Those South Sudanese in diaspora collected a huge amount of money and sent it back home in support of the SPLA troops. But when the pressure of the international community reached its peak, President Salva Kiir ordered the SPLA troops withdrawal from the area. So Sudan was supported by the Arab world, and South Sudan was condemned in the Arab media, especially in the country that is located in the northern part of the Nile Valley. So Mr. Ban Ki-moon succeeded in keeping the world peace and security at the expenses of South Sudanese. And I have to say here, what a political joke. What a betrayal by the government of the Republic of South Sudan against the people of South Sudan. So Pantau is area number 2 that is now occupied by the government of the Republic of the Sudan. And it is our own area. Area number 3 is another area called Karasana. There is an area called Karasana, and there is another area called Nyama. There is Karasana area, Mantigat Karasana, and Nyama area. These Karasana and Nyama areas that are on the border between South Sudan and the north, and they are part of South Sudan, were used by South Sudan Defense Forces under the command of General Paulino Matip Nial during the time of war. He was using Karasana and Nyama as a base, as his military base for his forces. They are part of South Sudan. So number 3 is Karasana, and number 4 is Nyama. Number 5 is Hofrad al-Nahas and Kafiya Genje. So we have Hofrad Nahas and Kafiya Genje, and these 2 areas are part of South Sudan. They belong to Western Bahr al-Ghazal state. These 2 areas are part of Northern Bahr al-Ghazal without any doubt. ويا جماعة المنطقة بتاعت حفرة النهاس والمنطقة بتاعت كفية كنجي دي المناطق بتاعتنا تابعة للسودان الجنوبي بلا شك، ما في شك في ذلك. والمنطقة دي جزء من ولاية بتاعت غرب بحر الغزال. وانا هجيب هنا شوية ونعرض لكم معلومات حول المنطقة بتاعت كفية كنجي بالتحديد. طبعا ناس كتار قاعدين بينادوا كفية كنجي، لكن ما اسمه كفية كنجي، حسب أهل المنطقة اسمه كفية كنجي، ده الاسم يعني الأصلي بتاع المنطقة. في كتابات كثيرة يا جماعة حول المنطقة دي، وأنا داير أستعين بكتابتين من المعلومات اللي قدرت يعني أجمعه. الكتابة الأولى عبارة عن مقال بعنوان كفية جنجي قضية تهميش لها عواقب. المقال بقلم عمر صالح عطرون، والمقال منشور في جريدة بتاعت الوطن الصادرة في جوبا بالتاريخ 27 شهر 5 سنة 2021، يعني السنة اللي فاتت. المقال منشور له سنة هسه من نشره، منشور في جريدة الوطن بالتاريخ 7/5/2021، العدد 1314، الصفحة الأخيرة 12. المقال ده فوقه معلومات مهمة جدا عن المنطقة دي. المقال بيقول كده، أنا هقرأ أجزاء، المقال طويل وبقرأ منه أجزاء ما هقرأه كله. الكاتب عمر صالح عطرون بيقول في مقاله قال نسبة كبيرة من بين المهتمين بكفية جنجي المحتلة من قبل السودان والتي تسيطر عليها قوات الدعم السريع توجه التقصير لأبناء المنطقة وتحملهم وزر الفشل في التعبير عن القضية بصورة حقيقية خاصة أمام أجهزة الدولة ذات الصلة وأصحاب المسؤولية المباشرة فيها. بيقول كاتب السطور: كان ولزمن قريب حالة من الإيمان الراسخ بهكذا التفسير بحكم انتمائي وقربي لمواضيع المنطقة، بل الاجتهاد الجامع لتوفير إجابات معقولة ومناسبة لكل الأسئلة المطروحة، وقد اتضح جليا أنه خطأ وجب تصحيحه عندي ولا يهمني فهم الآخرين. يبقى يعني في الجزئية أنا قريته من مقال بتاع عمر صالح عطرون المنشور في جريدة الوطن شهر 5 السنة الفاتت، واضح جدا إنه منطقة بتاعت كفية جنجة منطقة تابعة للسودان الجنوبي وتم احتلالها من قبل جمهورية السودان، وفي اتهام مباشر في المقال من قبل الكاتب للقوات اللي بيسمى القوات بتاع الدعم السريع كقوات سودانية قامت باحتلال هذه المنطقة. وقوات بتاع الدعم السريع طبعا ده قوات بيقودوا نائب رئيس المجلس السيادي السوداني حمدان دقلو، محمد حمدان دقلو المعروف بحميدتي. ودي قوات طبعا انشاوا الرئيس السوداني الاسبق عمر البشير عشان يحارب به في دارفور، والرجل الان يتبوى منصب بتاع الرجل الثاني في الدوله. قواته القات تحتل هذه المنطقه، والكاتب رجل ملم يعني بمعلومات بتاعت المنطقه. بيقول كده في المقال، بيواصل بيقول يظهر الجانب الرسمي في القضيه بدور ضعيف ومساهمه متواضعه لحد الانهزاميه، ولن نألو جهدا في تفكيك وتعرية المساهمين في ذلك عن قصد دغمائي، ويجب علينا مصادمة كل من يريد بناء أمجاد وتحسين مكانتها على حساب كفية جنجة، لأنها ليست مجرد أرض وملامح للجغرافيا، إنها حضارة عريقة عبر التاريخ ومنطقة تصحرت الحديد وتصدرته لغرب إفريقيا، صنعت الدمور بحلج القطن ونسجها. هذه بمثابة معلومة لمن يجهل وتذكرة لمن يجب أن يتذكر. طيب هنا بيتكلم عن المنطقة، الأهمية بتاع المنطقة والظلم الواقع على أهل المنطقة، وبيقول إن المنطقة دي منطقة يعني له حضارة بعيدة جدا في تاريخ، وإن المنطقة دي كان بتعمل يعني من المناطق الأولى اللي تم فيه سحر الحديد وتم تصدير الحديد لغرب إفريقيا من المنطقة دي، وصنعوا الدمور من الحلج بتاع القطن في المنطقة. طيب هنا في معلومات تانية بيعرضوا الكاتب، والمعلومة اللي هنا حابين يعني نثبته إنه المنطقة دي محتلة من قبل السودان، يعني واضح لحد هسه كده كويس. طيب في سطر من السطور الكاتب يقول يعني هو بدين التصرف بتاع جوبا او موقف بتاع جوبا مما يحدث في المنطقه، وبيقول اسلوب التراخي والفتور الذي تدير به جوبا ملف كفيه جنجه يقابله نشاط وحركه لبعض قيادات المنطقه خارج الصندوق، وربما تفوت على فطنه البعض معلومة أن الجنرال نور الدين آدم وزير الأمن السابق وزعيم الحالي للسليكة المسيطرة على أكثر من نصف جمهورية إفريقيا الوسطى في الاتجاهين الشمالي والشرقي تربطه صلة اجتماعية مباشرة بالمنطقة بحكم الامتداد القبلي المشترك. يعني الكاتب يتكلم عن إنه الحكومة في جوبا متراخية وكانت تتعامل مع ملف بتاع كفية جنجي بنوع من الفتور وبعدم اهتمام، وهو رافض عدم الاهتمام ده من قبل الحكومة في جوبا، وبيقدم معلومة إنه الجنرال نور الدين آدم وزير الأمن السابق وزعيم الحالي لقبيلة سليكة المسيطرة على النصف الجمهورية إفريقيا الوسطى في اتجاه الشمالي والشرقي، إنه بيربطوا صلة مباشرة بأهل المنطقة بحكم إنه في امتداد بتاعت قبائل في منطقة كفية جنجة لحد منطقة بتاعت إفريقيا الوسطى. فده التذكير يعني من الكاتب للمسؤولين في الحكومة في جوبا. إذن المنطقة دي منطقة بتاعتنا بلا شك. طيب الكاتب يتكلم عن المكونات الاجتماعية في منطقة بتاعت كفية جنجة وبيقول كلام مهم جدا. بيقول الآتي: بيقول لا نشير إلى عدم تمثيل أبناء المنطقة في مؤسسات ولاية غرب بحر الغزال بقدر رفضنا للنهج التماطل الذي تم اتباعه من قبل الثغور بعدم إلحاق ممثل كفية جنجة في التعيين الأخير، ومنذ وفاة عضو المجلس الوطني السوداني عن دائرة كفية جنجة السيد محمد وضع الله أندل غاب تمثيل المنطقة برلمانيا ولم يتم تعيين أي شخص عوضا عنه في البرلمان القومي في جوبا بعد الاستغلال، ونتيجة لذلك أصبح إقصاء لمنطقة التي توازي اليونان في الحجم ومجتمع متعدد ب500 بقبائل عريقة وبتعداد يفوق 1000 نسمة، مما ترتب على ذلك انعدام قناة تواصل فعال بين الحكومة والشعب هنالك، وعدم وصول صوت ومطالبات المجتمع الخدمية، وأنه لشيء طبيعي أن يشعر الناس أنهم بعيدين جدا من مركزية السلطة بل مهمشون سياسيا، ويتم تمييزهم بسبب الثقافة الإسلامية العربية الشائعة لديهم وانفراد ملامحهم الشكلية المشابهة للمجتمعات الدارفورية، وفي المقابل يتم معاملتهم لدى سلطة الجوازات بطريقة لا يستحسنوها. إذن يعني الكاتب بتاع المقال عمر صالح عطرون وهو من أبناء المنطقة بيتكلم عن التكوين الاجتماعي لمنطقة بتاعت كفية جنجي، وبقول